Welcome once more again. Oreki Chronicles picks up from where we left after a very, very long break, but not though so long, we are still surviving. Today we come up with a purpose as the topic. What is the purpose? How do we achieve the purpose? And as an individual, do we have a motivated purpose? Do we have a single purpose to achieve? Do we have a collective purpose that as a society we have to achieve? But first, let's talk of a purpose for an individual. This is not just something which is an end goal for us. It is something which is this ongoing process. It's something that is more or less a project. Purpose of life is not just an end goal that I will try today and achieve it today. It's gonna take time, it's gonna take minutes, it's gonna take hours, it's gonna take days, weeks, months, and years. But at the end of the day, we keep the focus, we keep following step by step. We say that so long as you are not stopping, we are making change. And if that is that, then what is the purpose and how do we achieve it? More or less, philosophers will have tried to understand what purpose is and trying to give it a meaning that this is the self actualization, the end product of our all. What we have given up to the world and what the world has given up to us. But as a project, we always try to feed our project. We always try to follow our project with the new designs, with the new understanding, with the new perspectives, trying to check it and trying to compare it with the last time. Was I in my endeavors to attain my purpose? Where was I yesterday? Where was I last month? Where was I last year? And with this constant checking and keeping and trying to figure out how am I progressing or am I retrogressive or am I going backward? It keeps in mind that at the end of the day, all we are making a progress in as much as it might not be noticeable by an inch, but we're making progress, and that just that we are not stopping creates the whole difference. The purpose of life, as we have always yearned to understand, I've talked to several gentlemen, several ladies, and several young men who are actually frustrated and they don't not want to engage in the question of purpose of life. They are telling me that the society has like not given them enough opportunity to exploit who they are. But I always telling them that the actualization of your purpose is not even centered in the society. It is something which is inner driven from you yourself. You have to give it to the world, and giving the world, you have to give it the best. But our frustrated generation, our perverse generation with a lot of fake smiles on the cameras, generation which wants to live life which do not belong to them, have actually not yet realized that we need to work more on ourselves than the world need to work on ourselves. Is this the society? Your parents, your friends do not owe you anything. You owe them actually that at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are independent. You're coming out of this mental slavery, you're coming out of this dependency slavery. Dependence syndrome has been one of the huge and one of the biggest stumbling block to achieving what we really are. And when I speak on this, I'm actually trying to bring in the point of everything that is in control of me is actually under my capacity to do it the way I want it to be done. It's not all about what have other people failed to do for you, but what have you done for yourself and for the society at large. The introduction part of it gives us the impetus or the blueprint or how we are going to achieve and arrive at our actuality. The, the argument here is not even anybody else, it is about purpose, me, and myself. So, if actually I have to achieve my purpose, if actually I have to arrive at a certain point in my life and say that actually I gave my best, it really narrows down to me, to us as individual, that in as much as what the society has not given unto us, what have we been able to give to the society, so that we might demand that actually I've given this, why haven't you given this? Finding your purpose is something which needs like a kind of quietness, kind of meditation, kind of self introspection, that I come back to myself. I ask myself, who is Oreki? Who I am? Who am I? And what do I want to be? Or what am I struggling to become? As I've indicated earlier on, that a human person is an incomplete project daily, a project that is trying to refine itself, a project that is always trying to find the good out of itself so that it actualizes itself. No one is complete and no one is perfect. And this is the understanding that we, as the generation that has come, need to really sit down and understand that at the end of the day, even if I reach my actualization, I'm still not complete. Because with actuity, that only means it is reserved for some perfect beings. As we always realize, as we always sit down, think about ourselves, we have to acknowledge that this is myself and these are my limitations. That in as much as I'm trying to bring the best out of me, there are things that are out of my control, and those things, they are not even part of you. But that which are within ourselves are those things that we can actually manipulate, are those things which actually we can critique, are those things which actually we can rethink about them, re-strategize, and make progress out of them. Every time you sit down and think of someone else and think of another nation which is developed, actually you have to be thinking about yourself. How am I impacting the society? How am I impacting myself? How am I becoming better than yesterday? How am I becoming good than yesterday? And this is the only way out. So first of all, you have, as I said, indicated earlier, find your purpose. After finding your purpose, you're going to work on it. But how do you find a purpose? And I've said also that it is a project which is being worked upon. And if it's a project like if we say, for instance, we are building a house and it's a project, that means that the actuality of the house is only realized when it is form has already been achieved. Now that what was the form of the house, what was the first intention of the house, and if I've attained the intention of the house, that means that the house is now complete. But as a human person, we are in constant project refining, strategizing, because the challenges we faced yesterday are not the challenges we are going to face tomorrow. The challenges we faced just some few minutes are not the challenges we are going to face in the next few minutes. And that tries to tell you that as a human person, you always need to be constant dynamic. You always in dynamic movement, thinking on how to better your life, less today, less tomorrow, and the future to come. So if that is the case, then we cannot stagnate ourselves like houses. We cannot stagnate our houses as roads and say, now this is the end of the project and I am complete. No. The challenges that you faced yesterday are not the same the challenges you're going to face tomorrow. And for that reason, it makes you now what you are, a human person. And if you're a human person, just know you're an incomplete project, and you're not going to be complete tomorrow, or to be complete in the next few hours, or in the next 10 years, but you will remain incomplete in as much as time is. So with that, finding the purpose of life might seem so kind of mirage. And if it's a mirage, you'll keep on chasing. And as much as you chase today, you have realized you have settled this problem. Tomorrow, another new problem, another new technological issue is coming out, another new disease is coming out, another new challenge is posing itself. And as a human person endowed with the faculty of thinking and every kind of reason, you are the only person, or you're the only creature which is going to think. Animals do not even know that actually the world has changed, and now I need to do this, I need to plant trees, I need to do this. For them, they will just be instinctual and move from where there is calamity. Like if there is a desert, they move to a place where there is no, of which for them they are instinctual. They will not plant trees where they are to realize that actually we need to mitigate these climatic crises. They will move from where there is crisis to where there isn't. And that is instinctual. It's not like us human persons. We've realized that actually the climatic crisis is caused by cutting of trees, and therefore I need to plant trees so that I mitigate this crisis. That is the difference between us and the other creatures. And with that, finding your purpose means kind of a struggle, kind of following and not finding, but at the same time, we can't fail to find it. And as we have always heard, that there is no generation in this epic, or in this world, which has tried to find the meaning of life, and there is no generation which has failed to find the meaning of life as such as this generation. And at the end of the day, it is only this generation which has tried to find the meaning of life, and it is still trying to find the meaning of life, and trying to embrace it, and trying to find what can we do to make life better than we found it. Embracing the ikigai, and also finding the joy on what we are doing. More or less, we have to create our own joy. At times, the created joy might be superfluous, and it is not that coming from inner part of us, from the inside of us. But what I'm trying to say is that the environment I create is the environment which is going to reciprocate to me and give me the meaning that I need. And if I am not that, I'm that person who is toxic to the society, I'm not that toxic person to the environment, how will they reciprocate if actually I'm not that good to them? If I have to be good, then the society will be good to me, then the environment will be good to me. And at the end of the day, as I've said, that how do I create the impression that actually I'm doing better than the world that I found? And this goes narrowly up to you yourself. And as an analogy, what you feed in you is what is actually reciprocated outside. So if you feed yourself with filthy studies, if you feed yourself with a lot of good stuffs, like you don't feed yourself with good food and that stuff, at the end of the day, your body is going to repulse, and how the nature reacts is what we always call that. Actually, nature doesn't need to be altered. Nature just needs to remain in its course. And the moment we try to alter the nature, it repulses. And when it repulses, sometimes we might say that nature is not for us. And if actually we do not make nature to work for ourselves, nature will always work against us. So first of all, we need to embrace nature. We need to embrace ourselves into creating our friendship with nature, creating ourselves friendship with the environment, so that the environment might accept us. Because we need it. I need it more than it needs me. Because if I'm not there, the world will still continue. If I'm not there, the environment will still be there. If I'm dead, you will be there, of course, and the everything in the world still remains. So it is me who need the world more than the world needs me. And therefore, I must acquaint myself to the society. I must acquaint myself to the environment. I must acquaint myself to the world so that I do not go against the world, and so that the world cannot go against me. So that means that I have one task. This is to make sure that I, as an individual, create that good rapport with the environment so that environment does not repulse me. Now, much said and done, we embark on the finding the purpose. Finding the purpose here means you have to rethink of yourself and the relationship that you have within you. This means that with my intro inspection, what do I find of value to me that I need to embrace it? What do I find in me that it can be of value to me in the future or in the next days to come? So that means I have first of all to fall in love with me. Falling in love with me means that I accept who I am. I acknowledge that I am Reiki. This and that is not part of me, and I am not capable of being any other person. By the virtue of me accepting who I am, it is just affirming that I am uniquely made to the extent that I have capabilities which are unique in the whole world. And with this, I can do much better things than any other person. As a unique person, you have unique key characters or traits that actually they are only identifiable with you. And people will say, okay, I'm trying to emulate so and so. Yes, it's good to have a role model to emulate, but at the end of the day, you are not going to change who you are to become someone else. You can imitate, but you cannot be that person. So that means that in as much as you have to achieve something else, first of all, it is still me to initiate this program. It is still me to initiate this project. So I'm initiating this project today in me that I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So with that, I acknowledge that this is me, this is Oreki, this is not any other person. These are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. I'm going to focus all my energy on the strengths so that at the end of the day, I do not go back sluggish, just being pulled back by my weaknesses. What am I trying to bring into point? I'm trying to tell you that no one is actually like you. In as much as you might be a twin, the question still remains that you think independently. You think and you have unique way of doing things. And if you have unique way of doing things, in as much as we are in a society tried to brought or amalgamated together in thinking in a certain way, at the end of the day, someone stands up differently and does some things which are unique and which are identifiable only to him. And falling in love with me means that I have already acknowledged who I am, my strengths, my weaknesses, and how am I going to make progress from this? Creating and recreating, falling and waking up daily knowing that there is nobody, no one who is going to be me at any given some point, that I will wake up and be Barack Obama, I be Putin, I be presidents of whichever nation. I will remain to be me. And if I have to work on myself to become a president of this nation or the other nation or the other nation, it is uniquely me and it won't be someone else. And with that, we'll come down, say, this is my strengths. I'm going to work on them. I'm going to strategize and move forward to achieve who I am and my actuality is only resting in my hands, and I'm the only architect or the sculptor of which act or which art I want to be. What I want to become is actually into my able hands. I'm going to mold through my mind, through my energies, through what I feed myself to become actually what I want. Many times I've had discussions with the people, and especially young men, and they'll tell you where the point I've reached is that I'm just waiting to die because I don't find any essence of life. And by that I say, okay, gentleman, or okay, lady, whatever you've decided in your mind, you're going to achieve it. But if you reverse the mind also, things are going to happen. But more or less, you find that the frustrations of life have made people think that they do not matter. As I'll tell you, you only matter if you give it that aspect of. If you do not give that aspect of matter, then at the end of the day, whether you speak to who and who, whether Jesus comes back and talk to you, my friend, there is nothing you're going to change. There's nothing you're going to have. It is literally and explicitly you yourself to take a step. If not, then you remain to be stagnated there. You will not make any progress. Your work will be that and that, lamenting, working on him, talking about the society, talking about the country, talking about the government not doing this, talking about your leaders not engaging you, talking about your religion not making you go to heaven, talking about everybody and trying to think that you are the best. If you are the best, then stand up, make change. Let that society now look at you and say, wow, despite all my efforts to suppress him, he has said that he is not gonna stay there. Be like a seed. Despite being pressed in the soil, it emerges and it looks for that sun, and it stands still and says, hello, world, here I am. You buried me, but I said I'm not gonna remain there. I have succeeded in making you think otherwise. And this is ourselves. We, like the seeds, in as much as we are buried deep feet into the ground, we must make ourselves. No one is going to help you. No one normally helps the grain. It normally actualizes, it normally utilizes what it is given to make sure that actually it sprouts, it's brightened, and that it has to see the light, it has to continue with life. And that is we are given that opportunity today. In as much of the challenges, in as much as we suffocate from every kind of not good things around us, at the end of the day, you must struggle through all this and come up with a successful mind or a successful body which is going to stand up still and say, here I am. Second of all, we embrace the joy and actually following what we think it's better for us. Many times the society will dictate what is good and what is not good for us as an individual. But at the end of the day also, we have to realize that yes, the society is there for us and we are there for the society, but it requires an individual effort to create a different perspective of a society. Change is initiated by individual and embraced by many. And if this joy comes to me and I feel like I am, despite the frustrations, I'm going to follow what I feel is good for me, what's good for the society, then I'm going to stand up clean and say, actually, I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to achieve this despite all the efforts from other external forces. I'm going to achieve it. Thirdly, we are having something we call the resistance or creating ourselves like adaptive mechanism of overcoming the challenges. It is never easy that people will, as we always say, that okay, you overcome this. I've been in a situation where I've been encouraging people that actually be strong. But at times it's only said and done. But if now the reverse is applicable to you, it's sometimes not easy, because I'll tell you, be strong and try to resist everything that brings you down. But now that it is me on the other end, how do I reciprocate, or how do I respond to the stimuli? It's never easy, as people would tell you, take charge, take control. Sometimes you're overwhelmed with the thoughts, sometimes you're overwhelmed with the problems, sometimes you're overwhelmed with the challenges. But how you come out, Muriki will say that actually sometimes storm comes. When the storm comes, we do not know how actually we overcome the storm. And we do not know actually that the storm is over. And when it is over, he says, we are actually different people. Because when the storm approaches, we are helpless. We do not know how to handle this. And at the end of the day, you realize that some other storms comes as blessings in disguise. And if that is the case, then realizing and analyzing the situation and realizing that actually this is a blessing in disguise, it's not easy. You might be there saying, okay, this is a blessing in disguise. Continue suffering until you feel now you're completely down. You need to speak out. You need to talk to people. And then you're talking to people, and these people telling you, be strong. They do not know actually the impact of this storm as it has come to your life. What has it done to you? But at the end of the day, resistance and creating that adaptive mechanism, it is an inside job. It is an inside project that actually you need to project it outside. It's not going to be easy as it is said, but at the end of the day, remaining calm in the storm, remaining calm, that creates the whole difference. Because people will try to think here, people will think the other side, people are going to be stressed up, people are going to be depressed about how I'm going to come out of this storm. But creating that resistance, reacting to the situation amicably. Like, if it entails me to laugh, let me laugh. If it entails me to cry, let me shed tears. If it entails me to mourn, let me mourn. Give yourself that moment that you're not that ever strong. Give that moment to yourself that you can always break down. But how you recollect yourself and how you respond to the storm is what now creates you to be anew. And that makes you think differently. Because after you've lost everything that maybe perhaps you had, and you have nothing, and at the end of the day, life has not ended. You still need to continue surviving. What are you going to do? This is the reactive moment you're going to sit down and think and say, now, I think I had this other capability of doing things this way. I'm going to make sure that I utilize this opportunity. I'm going to make sure I utilize this storm at my advantage. And at the end of the day, also, you come to a conclusion that it wasn't you alone to come out of this storm strong, but you have to come up as a legion. Spirits that are fortified to make sure that you strive it and succeed. Legion of spirits that are there to encourage you, to tell you that despite all this, you still matter. Despite all this, you still have life to live. And as a project, as we have used an analogy, you realize that sometimes you might be building, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're an architect, you're building a house, and then it reaches a point and everything falls apart. Are you gonna say now this is done? I'm not gonna do any building again. I'm not gonna do an actual architectural act again. No, this is just one of the ways to remind you that you're not perfect. This is one of the ways to remind you that it needs cooperation, it needs a lot of thinking, it needs a lot of engagement. And from here, you're gonna come out of these strengths, you're gonna come out of this storm with a lot of strengths, with a lot of energy, with a lot of new ideas, with a lot of new dealings with things, with a lot of how I'm going to deal with the new technology, how I'm going to deal with the new emerging issues, drug diseases, and so you survive. And that storm has not really brought you down, but has taught you much things to do with life. There is something we call gratitude and giving back. This more or less will seem to be a kind of a philanthropic idea, but no, this is a good thing that with a gratitude or gratified heart, a person is able to realize that actually what I get is actually from the graces. In as much as we might go sway around and think that actually it has been my own making to come out of the storm, but how do I give it back? Actually, when we build a society, or when we build a friendship or a circle which is so strong, it is actually very hard to be broken. But if we build our circle with a lot of frailties, the frailties are going to come down when the storm comes. It's gonna be swept away. If we build our house with a lot of with some concrete and we take time to build it, that means it's gonna have some resistance to the steam. But something which is done in a hurry, something which is done without a thought, is always easy to be brought down. But when I move to the gratitude aspect of ourselves, our gratitude aspect of our life, that means that what am I able to create? How am I going to fall back? Who's going to receive me? And this is the whole thing about gratitude. People might think, okay, being grateful means that I'm a philanthropist, I have to do that, I have to do that. No, 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 no. It's how are you prepared that as I'm going up, how am I prepared that in case that something happens, how am I going to fall back? Who's going to receive me? Have I laid a good foundation? Have I laid a good place where that when I come, I rest, and then I get energy to pick up and start complete again my journey? No, many people forget about this. People always think that helping means that, okay, I have much and then I have to dispose a lot. No, this is just creating a good background so that in case that I might be climbing as I'm going higher the ladder, something might happen. The storm might come and triggers me. How I fall, who are the people to receive me? Who is this cycle? How have I interacted with the society before? How have I interacted with people before? How have I interacted with children before? Am I that person who is that cruel to the individuals to the extent that when even people see me suffering, they can't come to my aid? So this is what I'm calling gratitude. So it's not about just giving anyhow, but giving where it's necessary and where there is need. So that when as I'm climbing, something might happen. And when I fall back, who's gonna receive me? That's a thought for another day. Another thing is nurturing self-growth. Our daily life means that we have actually to engage and create the environment where when I grow, I'm able to realize that actually I've done this And this is the fruit of what I did yesterday. This is what I did to the other man, and I've seen him climbing the ladder too. This is what I've done to the society, and I've seen how the society has reciprocated on this. So, trying to maintain and trying to check on my growth is one thing that I should not forget, because growth, in as much as it might not be just visible, sometimes it is horizontal, so that you are not able to look at it with vertical angle, but you can realize it, that actually with my gratitude I have laid a foundation. Though the foundation is still down, though the foundation is still horizontal, there are things which are coming up, and this I need to note down. Yes, because growth does not only necessarily means that I'm seeing it come. I'm seeing it vertically growing. It can be also growing horizontally. It can also be taking the base. This is where we are. What have you impacted in the society so that at the end of the day, people will come and say, this is the product of this man. This is the product of so and so. So that I have achieved, yes, as an individual, but also as a society, I've laid a foundation to the extent that even if I'm in my village, I'm a wealthy person, my wealth is being protected by the very, very people I've really helped in the village. But to the extreme where a person becomes extremely wealthy and the villagers or the people around him are actually dilapidated into poverty, that means you have done nothing, because these people will come for you one day. So if as I empower myself, I need to empower these people down here, so that when anything happens, even if there is a kind of thuggery or robbery which is happening against my property, these are the people who are going to defend me. These are the people who are saying, no, this man has really tried to bring us to the light, so we are not going to allow you to intercept or get into his property and steal. That is what I mean by growth. So, growing does not mean necessarily you have to see things vertical. Sometimes they go horizontal. So again, as you have already laid the foundation, as you have already given back to the society, or you have already empowered the society, now what we are trying to do next is to expand. Because as an individual, yes, I might be having very unique capabilities, I might be having good intentions, but at the end of the day, I need people as a society, and that's why a human being is a societal being. A human being cannot survive outside the society. And anything that is above the society, as Aristotle will say, is either a demigod, a demi, or it is a beast. So we must be able to realize that expanding my cycle, expanding my generosity, expanding my knowledge, sharing what I am able to do really creates a lot of difference, really creates that group mentality, that good social and economic kind of product, that at the end of the day you have also created a society where people are able to be independent. And when people are independent, they will support you, because they know, as for instance, if I were a politician, by the way, this is what I would have done first: empower my people to make sure that actually these people are capable of doing or becoming independent, so that at the end of the day, we do not need to elect someone who is rich. We do not need to elect someone, but we need a leader, somebody who is going to make the society a great change. So with that, it creates independence and makes people think on their own, so that when something comes about, it's not about the leader, but people can handle it and say, we were empowered to do this and that. And that's the importance of sharing knowledge. That's the importance of making your brother better, so that in as much as I'm struggling on my own, in as much as I've made it on my own, but creating more empowerment means that there is less dependence. And if there is less dependence, you are able to grow without any other interactions or interruptions. Sorry. So that is how we work on that. Then from there, I have to take care of myself. I have to do something called self-care. Self-care here now means that I have to get into business as usual, yes, but taking care of my mental well-being, taking care of what as I've said earlier on the first point, that I need to know what I inject in myself, so that what I inject might not be of poison. So if I eat poison, do not expect that I'm going to bring out something better. I'm going actually to bring out something which is poisonous. So taking care of myself, reading good books, interacting with people who have already had experiences of life and have already made it somehow in life creates that impact, because if I walk among those people, it means that actually they are going to impact me not only economically but also socially, and giving me the best. So embrace good what we call the circle. If your circle is actually not toxic, you're going to grow well. And that's exactly what happens to a seed. When a seed gets good soil, actually it's going to thrive, because the environment supports its growth. But if you get yourself into a toxic relationships, a toxic society, you cannot grow, because every time you try to grow, it brings you down. Now, last but not least is the clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose. Make your purpose clear. Make your intentions clear. And as we talk right now, we've had a lot of people who end up in desperations, end up in being depressed, because they never declared their interest, they never declared their intentions as earlier as it would have been, because we are hurt most in our imaginations than in reality. This is essentially because I might be helping people so that they can help back. I might be helping someone so that I might marry her. I might be helping an individual so that at the end of the day, he reciprocates. This has actually brought a lot of problems to people, a lot of problems to individuals, because at the end of the day, people do not clearly indicate their intention of their help. As we've said, and as we go back through, you realize that ingratitude does not mean that I'm helping so that I might be helped back. Or in creating a good environment of people to work, I don't do it so that also they might create a good environment for me to work. This one should stick in your mind. That clarity of purpose, clarity of intentions, clarity of what I want should actually be the priority before actually I start making or strike creating that purpose exactly. So let that come into your brain. Let that come stick into your mind that at the end of the day, they are not you. So whatever you do good is not a must that they have to reciprocate it with good. And sometimes you'll find that it is that good tree where it is which receives the many of the stones. So as you good as you are, do not expect that the society will be good at you. So work and remain focused on your intention and make them clear. Just clear up and make sure that actually what you want is not driven by some kind of force or some kind of ego, so that at the end of the day I have to receive it back. It never happens with this society. And this is what I can tell you by now. And as we actually come to the close of it all, you have to find a fulfilling life. A fulfilling life in the sense that happiness should be and must remain your focus. But if not, you're going to have a lot of interception, a lot of people coming in and diverting your prey, diverting your intentions, and at the end of the day, you will not realize your purpose. If have not declared your purpose, that means you haven't yet even started realizing the purpose. So, first of all, as we've said in the beginning, sit down, think of what you want, then from there, craft mechanisms of how you will achieve. And if it's achieved, this is the fulfilling life. This is the life that you have been yearning for. And at the end of the day, if life is fulfilled, then means that all our efforts, all our 8 procedures have actually yielded fruit. And if they have yielded fruit, you can actually get yourself packed and be ready for anything, because now you have actually literally attained actuality. With those very many remarks, I would wish to wish you a very fruitful day, and keep on subscribing, keep on liking, commenting, and always interact with us so that we may know how we are, or if not, impacting the society. Thank you. Good day.